talked about, you know, the social aspects behind cosplay. We talked about craftsmanship, performance, how to improve this and that. But what about like all the social problems we've run into, and just sort of like bringing certain things to the surface, share some stories, figure out how to best conduct yourself if you're a cosplayer, if you're just an attendee, if you're a photographer, what are the right etiquettes and, you know, proper ways to be at a convention. You know, because we have people from all walks of life, we have people from all ages, and so sometimes definitely things can get awkward. Then there's the internet, you know, that does definitely not help at all. So yeah, we hope to get lots of questions for you. Like basically you can shout out a topic, you can share an experience you've had, you can share like a question you've always wondered about, something that has happened to you or a friend that you never understood why. You know, drama, whatever, you know, this is, until midnight we have this room, this is what we can do. So to introduce ourselves, my name is Yaya. I have been cosplaying for 11 years. And so I have come from basically one generation of cosplay to the next. So, and there are a lot of differences, but I'm still doing it, I still love it.
Hi, my name is Miko. I go by Evali online, and Allison and I are 2 of 3 of the girls from We Go for Kyo Cosplay. And what did I just say? We've been cosplaying for 6 years, right?
No, 7.
Okay, a long time, too long to remember. Yeah, we mostly cosplay in Florida and Georgia, and we run a lot of cosplay events and do skits and things like that. So.
Hi, I'm Allison. I go by Emriella online. Also, Amanda, also known as our baby berry, is here at the convention. She just felt that she needed sleep. She may join us later. But we've been doing this for a long time, and it's a lot of fun. It just gets more fun as it goes. So.
I guess I just wanted to add to what Yaya said. This is the anything goes, no holds barred. If you're curious about something, ask it panel.
Also, is anyone in this room under the age of 18? Excellent. Curse words loud.
Yes, just be prepared. Be
polite, but you can cuss.
So, as someone who started cosplay when there was no cosplay.com, there was no acparadise.com, there were no communities for cosplayers. What we had back then was the mailing list. So it was like anything that you were curious about, any groups you wanted to do, any cons you wanted to go to, you had to talk to people through this mailing list. And sometimes, you know, awkward social situations would arise where someone would post a picture of, you know, that's happened to me. Someone posted a picture of me in a costume and lots of people praised it, and then somebody's like, ugh, I don't know, why are you praising that? That's not so good. And, you know, but when it's a mailing list, it's like, it's really, like you get all these just horribly long, basically forwarded mail with responses back to each other, basically one person to another, but then like, you know, 400 people can read it. And that was like, I don't know, I back then I had no idea how to deal with drama. When somebody said something bad about my costume, I felt like I needed to go, you know, and defend it and make things worse, basically. And just, because one thing I've realized over the years is that if someone wants to hate on you, they're going to hate on you. There's nothing you can do about it. You can be perfect. You can be Miss Goody Little Sunshine, and they will find something to pick on. So over the years, I've developed a really thick skin to all kinds of criticism, you know, be it reasonable or unreasonable. Not to say I'm not open to criticism, but things definitely can get out of hand.
Yeah, actually, I have a confession to make. When we first started to cosplay, it was essentially me and Allison and Amanda, friends at college, and we would watch anime in my dorm room. And, you know, I would be like, you know, we could do this. Like, I've been to anime cons. These people dress up and stuff.
And then Amanda shows up one day and says, so I bought my fabric, when are you getting yours? And we all went, ah!
Yeah, she just went out and bought her fabric. So we're like, okay, we're doing this now. And I didn't really know what we were getting into, and so I guess there was no Google then, so I must have been on Yahoo or something, and I was like, cosplay drama or cosplay whatever, and I would read these forums about like, oh, it's, you know, this is where we talk about the bad people that think they're so hot and they're not, and And I was like, oh my God, And so, I've like spent a few nights just reading all these like the stories of how we were wronged by so and then a picture of her in a bunny outfit or something.
I thought she was exaggerating until the first time we went to a con, and then people started posting stuff about us, and I was like,
Yeah, if you're a cosplayer, your pictures online, chances are somebody's talked shit about you, right?
just don't read it. Just don't read it.
And I think that for a long time, it was really spread out. Like I would get emails from people being like, oh, I hope I hope this horrible thing happens to you because you don't deserve to, I don't know, have a website, or you don't deserve to get the recognition you do. Or I would get a guestbook entry that was basically just hate. And then somebody on a forum would criticize a costume or criticize me. So it was really spread out over the internet. I'm bringing this up early. Usually we wait till later. But I find that since 4chan has come to be, I know everybody's like,
we know you're here.
I know. I think it's
Admit your
actually...
presence now.
It's actually really funny that since 4chan and CGL was made, all that bad, all the tabloid rumors and stuff, it just sort of got concentrated there. So I don't get hate mail anymore. I don't get, random forums, slash whatever. It's like it's all right there on CGL, and if I just don't go there, then I'm blissfully, free of negativity. So that's actually kind of liberating if you think about it that way. Anything anybody want to add on the topic so far?
Oh, they're trying to be shy this year.
No, it's too early. I should have waited.
There's a brave hand.
Yeah, a hand.
Me with the hand?
Yes.
Well, I was just going to say that, Facebook added a whole new element. I guess you haven't talked about the next generation yet, but our most recent costumes are, people add you as friends that you don't even know, and then they comment on pictures of you that you're tagged in.
And they tag you.
These comments, and so do all of your friends.
Right.
So-and-so has big thighs, or so-and-so not wearing that top right. You're just like, okay, this is for everyone to see.
Yes, Facebook has added a new middle school element to it all.
But yeah, that was just really cool.
Eventually you can untag yourself.
Yeah. That's only a matter of time. I'm sure they'll find a way to make it so we can't untag ourselves.
Yeah. You'll still know.
Another hand on the left. Lady in the kimono.
I emailed a very prominent American cosplayer because she did a costume that I was doing tomorrow, and I wanted advice on how she went about making it. And she was horrible to me. She said, "You can buy my costume for $300, but I'm not giving my tips to amateurs."
Really?
That's a great tip.
Wow.
That's a great subject that you brought up. And
We're sorry that happened.
this would be
Yeah,
what
we're
I
really
would say
sorry.
about this. I've heard that so many times from other cosplayers. These people ask me for advice, and I work so hard for it. And my opinion on that is there's no harm in telling a person, you don't have to send your pattern. You don't have to give them exact specific dimensions. But you can say, it's made out of wood, or I used a PVC pipe to put in this part, or I used this type of fabric. And the reason why you can do that is because the person that has that information still has to have the same skill as the original person if they wanted it
Skill
to
and
look good.
creativity.
Well, I did find out later that maybe the reason that she did it was because she said she makes all of her costumes. Little internet research showed me that she bought it from Hong Kong.
Oh no! See, now the thing
That is another very popular cosplay topic. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think if anybody tries to talk to you, oh my gosh, I think your costume's so awesome, I'd like to make something like it. It's like a compliment.
It's a compliment.
It is, it's a
definitely.
compliment.
Upsetting that people think of it as insulting because it's that's awesome. Somebody thinks I'm cool enough that they want to mimic what I'm doing.
Well-
so it's really upsetting that some people think it's like an insult.
And when you think about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, no,
Go
I was
ahead.
going to say, building on that, it is a compliment, and this is how our knowledge base as a community grows. Someone figures out something. They tell someone else says, oh, that's really cool. How did you do that? The knowledge spreads, and soon, everyone is doing it. But that's a good thing, because that means a lot of people have upped their game. Yay, plus one.
I mean, that's how the standard of cosplay has improved over the past 10 years. You know, trust me, I've seen it. You know, it's like what I back then made and, you know, caused a splash, so to speak, now and like wouldn't even turn heads. It's just, it really, you know, it's like we improve as a community, but the only way we can do that is to share.
You have only yourself to blame right now. Oh. I'm just saying, you want to keep up in the game.
I mean, to be honest, like, I've made costumes that were very unique, and I've been places that, you know, I made this Misa costume with a giant ram puppet. It was like 8 feet tall, and that one was, at the time, nobody was really doing things like that. And then, you know, a few months later, I went to Anime Expo, and I saw like a young girl, like a 15-year-old girl, with a ram puppet that she had made that was like this big. You know, maybe didn't spend as much time as I did on it, but honestly, it didn't make me mad. I was like, oh my god, like this person probably saw my pictures and thought, I want to do that. And just like Amanda was saying, it should be a compliment. It should be like, that is so cool that somebody was inspired, and actually, you know, they probably looked at your pictures.
However, I mean, to sort of not to, you know, like to sort of turn the coin, there are ways to approach getting advice that is very rude. I've been asked very rudely, like there's no hello, how are you, you know, there's just like, I want to know exactly step by step how you made this. You know, that's it. And it's like, okay, you know, who are you and why am I going to
if you don't,
take
you're
my
a
time
bitch.
to, it's like to give you like all the techniques that I use. It's like, I don't mind sharing, but I have a very busy schedule and I can't spend 5 hours a day answering emails and giving details. That's why I do panels. Because in that hour, you can come and ask me whatever questions you like. I will answer it in absolute detail. You can take notes, you can record it, whatever. It is also possible for someone to basically take something unique that you've done but not give credit. And I don't know if you guys have encountered that. You know, I think definitely everyone has, you know, experienced something where you had an idea for like a certain way to do a piece of costume, and then you see like somebody else do it, they're like, oh yeah, I came up with this and I'm so smart. And
a good example I've seen of that is like if you watch a really good cosplay skit and then those people might go and do the same cosplay skit somewhere else. That was more prevalent before we had YouTube and everyone had little flip cameras and iPhones, because it was
now we all know.
Yeah, now it's more likely they'll be like, wait a second, but you know, a few years ago, if someone did this in Texas and then someone did it in New York, you probably would have totally different groups of people watching. And there'd be no way to tell.
Right.
You can't possibly know every skit or every costume, so.
yes, there's a hand.
No. On that same note, in her Facebook note, we realized that we had like 1 or 2 poses. We did Morgan and Willa, and the 1 or 2 poses translated to the same picture on Facebook over and over and over. We were like, yeah, like you guys are posting the exact same in every picture. We're like, no, just the ones that are on Facebook. So yeah, it's the same for poses.
It makes you start thinking about, oh, we usually did that like 5 years ago.
Yeah. So you were poses.
Hey, if it's a good pose.
There's only so many ways that your body can move as a human.
Exactly.
I don't see any problem, but like, okay, I figured out I look best at this angle doing this thing. I
Yeah.
don't care if everybody takes the exact same picture as long as I look good every time.
Exactly.
Sometimes that can become like your signature pose. We used to have a joke like that. I know what your signature pose is. We have to do it now. But like, you know, with our friend group.
What's my signature pose?
It's
What do you think my signature pose is?
It's the one where you bend over and you accentuate. You have your arm.
I accentuate.
Yeah. Yeah, Yaya gives me a lot of modeling help sometimes. So, but you know, we would do that just for fun. In our friend group, we'll be like, oh, do the Nikki, do the Amanda, and we just have those are our signature poses that we do. And that's just silly. It's not like for real. Like we'd be like, that person did my signature pose in their costume, you know. But it's just one of those things that's kind of funny to say. So.
So
Mary.
don't let them bother.
It's funny, there was one shoot that Katie and I did where we stole a pose from someone else. remember we copied Mandy's Evangelion shoot when we did our Cheryls, but then later when I was on ACP, I saw someone else doing the Cheryls we did copying our poses, and I was like, it was just this giant cycle.
Yes. But some of that is almost like parody, like I've done that before.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know, our friends did this, we'll do this too, and they'll see it, you know. I mean, it doesn't have to be mean-spirited.
Funny because the cycle just.
I hope everybody does the Amanda.
Yeah, like
This is what it is if you haven't seen it.
But at what point do you guys think it's like over the line though? You know, it's like all fun and games if everybody knows is just, you know, nice, but
I mean, when does it become creepy?
At what point are they trying to steal your identity?
Yes. At what point does it become uncomfortable? You know, not just with poses, but with costumes, with whatever. I want more audience participation.
Come on.
Okay, go again.
I guess it's like not when it's craftsmanship techniques, but when it's details. Like I try and tell people, don't rely on looking at pictures of other cosplayers to figure out the details, because they might not have done it accurately to start with.
Yes, exactly. Stick to the reference. If you do a costume with, you know, the same back as another cosplayer, but there's like a totally different, very hard to find back reference shot of the character that's, you know, completely not like what you did, then it's kind of obvious who you copied.
There was a contest in Florida, and I really liked this girl's costume. And I was like, wow, you did such a good job. And she's like, yeah, I married the contest. And she was showing me her in progress pictures. But with it were the reference pictures. But the reference pictures are pictures of a different cosplayer. They were not pictures of the character. And I just thought that was really weird. And I've seen that a few times. And yeah, I don't know. I just think that's really strange. Oh good.
Okay,
This one was first.
Yes, you first, and then you, because you haven't said anything yet.
I guess, my friend does Chibitalia, and it's adorable, but she gets so mad whenever she sees another Chibitalia costume. The thing is that, specifically because it's Chibi, there's not that many details. How can anyone get mad over the same thing when there's not the little details to get mad over?
That's known as
That's
ownership
possessive.
of the character.
Yes.
That's when you feel you are the character.
And, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe at some point in our cosplay history, we've all been sort of protective of a character that we love very much. Costume turned out very well. We're very like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I look just like the character. I'm just so ecstatic. And then you see somebody else do it, and you're just like, maybe it, like, could diminish your happiness a little bit. But I definitely think, you know, it's like that's just your own mentality and it's personal growth. And
Your friend needs to mellow out a little
exactly.
bit.
Your friend needs to just
It's not her fault.
understand that there are only so many characters out there, like you said, and other people watch the same anime or play the same video game.
People getting mad at all when their costume is mimicked because they're mimicking something that somebody else already drew.
Right, and
You got
it's
it.
like, if anything, it should bring you together. It should be like, wow, you also love this character enough to dress up as them.
Yeah,
you know?
and
We should be pals.
And on that note, every time if it's a character that I really, really like, if I see someone in that costume, especially if I happen to be wearing that same costume, because that's like, oh no, two people in the same dress at the prom. Like,
In this case, it's, oh, you have great taste.
yeah, I always like walk to them and compliment them and talk to them. Like I'll just walk up to the person and say, oh, you really like this character too. I really like this character. And the reason why you do that is because it's quite possible that they think you're being a bitch, or they're like worried that you don't like them. And it's someone's got to make the first move. And maybe they'll be mean to you, but at least you took the time to make that gesture. We have to take this guy.
One thing I've noticed is for your references, keep to the same medium, because I found one character who has completely different things like scars, body shape, and all, even clothing design, or even mustache.
The difference
period or
between the
not.
concept art and the
Anime.
in-game or the in-movie or the in-anime, completely different.
Definitely.
You'll find that like I don't know, that's one of those like personal interpretation questions. Like some people will mix all of them,
I'm one of those. I mix
Yeah.
all sorts of elements.
and some people will stick to the video game, in-game art or whatever. But then what's funny is then you'll see online like, oh, so and so did it wrong. But so, at some point there's not really a wrong. It's an artistic interpretation that may be different from your artistic interpretation. So.
Let's face it, we're not drawings on paper.
Did somebody have something to add to what we were just saying before? I saw some other hands.
I was backing up. I was gonna
Yes.
say I always have that that moment when you see someone dressed as the same character and you're like, okay, one of three things is gonna happen. Either you're both not gonna look at each other and be like, oh, I don't see, or that someone, and usually I love to say that I never do this because I can't, but then someone might mean mug you might get mean mugged by the other character.
What is a mean mug?
What's a mean
mean
mug?
mug is?
Like-
Mean mug be like,
Oh, the
Oh,
the look.
Yeah. Evil eye.
yeah. Or the third option, of course, and I'm so bad about doing this, but I love the third option, which is when they come up to you and they're like, oh, let's get a picture together, and I'm like, okay. So that's,
So you wait for them to come to you.
yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
And everyone will think you're the
See,
bitchy
Miko,
one.
Miko takes the incentive.
Yeah.
You wait for the reaction.
Yeah.
I usually scare them because I usually do, oh my god, and run to them.
I usually just do have you guys seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall? You haven't seen her?
No.
You know at the end when he's wearing the same shirt as Out of Snow, and he's like,
I see another hand in the back. Something to add to this? Or
I noticed one thing though regarding cosplay is one person who they worked really hard on it, it didn't come out quite right. And you have people that just bought it and it looks fantastic, but they bought it. There's a lot of hate there.
well, you mean towards the people who bought it, or towards the people whose outfits may not have come out that right?
Towards the people who bought it, not
I
probably the other party.
right. I get that question sometimes in other panels, judging panels and stuff. And I think it's perfectly okay for you to go buy your costume. Just be completely honest about it. If you didn't make something, don't say that you did.
I think the hate there stems from, I tried really hard. This didn't come out quite the way I wanted. That person didn't do any work other than ordering something off the internet, and they're getting all the attention. Not cool. Which is why I like to go up to people that obviously tried really hard and are really excited about what they're wearing and talk with them because they're so much more excited.
So isn't this sort of like a cultural thing too? Like, because in Japan, many people buy their costumes and nobody has a problem with it over there. And even like at a sci-fi convention like Dragon Con, it's very common, and it's more about the way you look. But in anime cosplay, it is really important that you made it. Like, people are disappointed if they say, "Did you make these wings?" and you bought them or something. So that's an interesting phenomenon that's very specific to anime cosplay.
Okay, I think you had your hand up, and then back to you.
I think that, I don't know why that's a phenomenon for anime, but I think that because the art of sewing, the art of construction is such a dying thing that when you've tried really hard, you've learned your craft, and you haven't perfected it yet, you feel insulted that you put so much work into learning this thing that nobody necessarily can even teach you, and then they just go out and buy it and they look infinitely better. But you've learned a skill,
Right. I mean, no matter what, you always know in your heart that you made it, and I think that's something that you should be proud of. I think even if I'm, in a very simple costume next to a bunch of people who are, super dressy and get lots of attention, lots of pictures, no matter what, I still know that I made my outfit. That means more to me than having more pictures taken than these other people.
All cosplay love is valid cosplay love.
What I was going to say is probably one of the reasons why it's so important for people who cosplay anime. How many people cosplay anime and draw too? Like, it's all about the art. It's not necessarily about the costume. It is sort of about the costume, but it's about the art and the craftsmanship. Like, that's what it's about in America.
And about a way to express your fandom.
Yeah, and from what I understand with Japanese culture is that they really do like to conform. So you all buy the same costume off the internet, and it's perfect. And here, it's all about expression.
Oh, definitely. Individuality.
Yeah.
That is true. It does stem from their actual culture and from our culture.
Cliff, did you have something?
Yeah, you mentioned that all cosplay love is valid.
And I know that you're both, you're all three very cute girls. How do you handle unwanted male attention?
Nice topic switch.
That's not cosplay love, that is body love.
Okay? Let's talk about attention whoring as well as unwanted attention.
Consent is an important issue.
This actually segues really well from the whole that people like to make, the cosplayers like to make their costumes. The first year we did this, there was some sassy guy in here who was like, well, don't you make your costumes because you want the attention. And I was like, we're girls that play video games. We could wear a brown paper bag and we would get attention. Like that, nobody's, I mean, I'm sure there are some, but mainly cosplayers that make their costumes they're satisfied in making the costume. They're not doing it thinking, oh, I bet a lot of guys are gonna leer at my butt today. I mean, that's not the main reason why you're doing it.
And I was gonna definitely say on that most anime girls, a big portion of them, video game and anime girls, are dressed very provocatively and have, voluptuous, sexy silhouettes because they're all designed by perverted Japanese guys.
By men, for men.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's why. I mean, look at Soul Calibur, Dead or Alive, all those Gurren Lagann. I mean, it's all about the male fantasy, the creating the dream woman. So, us being fans of the cartoons and games, we're going to want to dress up as our favorite characters. Our favorite characters just might happen to not wear much, So it's like we still want to be accurate. We want to portray the character, but then it becomes a responsibility of the cosplayer to make the outfit tasteful. Make sure they wear the right protective under, things, and, tape in, make sure you don't fall out, make sure that you're all...
Tape. Yeah, most advanced cosplayers, you may not realize it, but they're wearing like underwear, then tights, then Spanx, then fake shorts. And you'll sit in the air like, oh, I caught a glimpse of something, and it's like, no, that was like 4 layers of clothes.
Yeah.
Lots of hands.
What I was going to say is, going off the idea of the fantasy, these things are all fantasy. We're trying to be the fantasy, but it's also viewers' jobs, especially, no offense to those with Y chromosome, men folk, and some women folk, but mostly men folk, who make the mistake of thinking that we are the fantasy and that we want to be their fantasy. Yeah. It's like, no, it's not exclusive to you.
Yeah, it's like, it's our fantasy to be the characters, but we understand how we look. We understand to another person we will look slutty, which is why we need to act classy and not slutty. And so, yes, hands. That's it. Yeah, cool.
I was going to say, I think Dragon Con is a good place where you can spot the difference between the fans
and the attention wars, because there are those too. Yes.
Because you'll have like the girls that will actually be in an actual costume, and then you'll have the ones that are just wearing caution tape.
Yes. Literally, just caution tape.
Yeah, caution tape girl's my favorite anime.
We should make it and be so popular.
Yeah, Amanda.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, actually one of my best friend is actually kind of a bigger girl, and she's like, well, I really like this character, but I think this costume is too skimpy, and she'll actually alter it to be more flattering to her, which actually be a problem because girls don't realize that, like, if this is going to look better on you, it actually would better like make that skirt a little bit longer or add in some netting to like make your body more appealing, which is one of those things like people just don't even able to realize, but it's more complimenting to you and you'll feel better, and then you're not wearing something that's going to make you uncomfortable or anybody else badly of you.
It's a performance. Anything you can do to yourself to make yourself A, look better, B, more comfortable, it's fair game.
Absolutely, and you don't have to be 100% accurate. That's where artistic, license comes in. You can be a little creative on your own, and yeah, it is. It's like you're translating something that is drawn into your body, and you might, your parts might not be as perky as the anime characters. You might need extra support. So
sometimes, like, you'll second guess yourself and think, I really want this to be accurate, and if I do this a different way, it won't be accurate. And I found that if you really are honest with yourself, what you're saying is, I don't want people to make fun of me online because it's not accurate. But at some point you just have to realize you can't care so much what another person's gonna say. If you're gonna look better in it, if you're gonna feel better about yourself, if you're gonna be happier overall, that matters more. So now on to unwanted attention.
Well, oh God, I don't know. Like, are we good on the attention whores? Does anybody have any questions on attention?
That's a different
whores?
kind of love. That's a love of attention, not a love of making costumes and wearing them. There's a difference.
I like to say in this panel at some point that we all should try not to cosplay only for the attention. I hope that whenever you cosplay, you will try to find another reason behind it instead of just being popular or having people praise you or for the attention of photos taken or for the attention of how many comments you get on DeviantArt. I really, really hope that there is another deeper set reason why you cosplay, and I encourage everyone to find it. As for, I mean, it's an easy and cheap way to put on something skimpy if you're a young, pretty girl, and you can get a lot of attention. That's just how it is. You can. However, I think after a while you will get a reputation. That may not be all good, and you won't feel that great about yourself. And you surely won't be in this community for as long as some of us have been. Because you can't do this for 10 years just for the attention. There's no way. You will absolutely get burnt out on all the negativity as well. Cliff, and then the guy in the back. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say one thing that's kind of interesting to me, because I'm in your generation, is how you used to be able to do a costume people might talk about for a little while, and then it disappears. But now, if it's online, it's there forever. So even though you may look fantastic at 18 and you love just rocking it, when you're 30 and you're trying to get a job, that's still going to be there.
Right.
So,
this is why it's important to have pseudonyms and not to let them touch.
Except me, I use my real name.
But you made a job out of it.
That actually goes back to what the girls are saying with the Facebook. I don't want to go on a huge tangent, but I'm not a big fan of Facebook at all. I think they're violating everyone's privacy. They flat out tell you they're selling your data. They want you to, put as much information on there as possible so they know everything about your friends and what
so
they're
axe
doing.
murderers can find you.
That's my thing. I have a very unique name, and I work in a research lab as a PhD student, and the last thing I want is a bunch of weird guys coming to my lab bothering me at work, or going to my mom's house and bothering her, so I've always been really, our dog would kill them, but, she's not smart, but she'll just do this and they'll be dead. Anyway, but, think about, I don't think it should be a reason why you don't wear sexy costumes, because honestly, I don't think there's anything really wrong with looking good. That seems, counterproductive. But yeah, it's totally true. Anything you do now will be on the internet in some form, possibly. And maybe in a few years, there's going to be so many cameras everywhere that literally anything you do could be on the internet. You walking down the street could be on the internet. Like Twitter has like the my location thing. Anyone you tweet and it's like, and we're standing at this intersection right now. It's only a matter of time before somebody is injured or killed, I think, by a crazy person. And when that happens, they're going to be like, expose on cosplay. What is this? All that stuff. Does anyone remember like John Benet Ramsey? Like, child beauty pageant, all that stuff. It's going to be like that. So
that's a whole other topic. I do think something horrible is going to happen at a convention one day, but hopefully not.
There's someone in the back.
Yeah, someone in the back. Long hair.
Very
Yes,
back.
I was just going to go back to talk about why dress up by cosplay. I mean, from my experience, I'll dress up in my real life. T-shirt, that's it. So this is my chance to really just have fun.
Right. It should be.
That is perfectly valid.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah. I think we have other hands. Oh God. Okay. Let's start on the left. So you, and then I think I saw another person. So yes, kimono lady.
I have a question actually for you. I'm also a medical student, and how do you separate your professional life from your this is my first time
You'll have to
cosplaying,
answer
but
that.
I've always been doing Anime Weekend Atlanta Sept, and I don't really know exactly how to juggle between, you know, a professional life and being taken as a joke because I do this kind of thing.
Well, I work in computer science, and basically as an undergraduate, when I started cosplaying, my advisor, he said like, oh, you have this new hobby, and he was very nosy about my personal life. And I was like, yeah, we do this hobby. It's just like making costumes for fun, you know, it's kind of nerdy. He's like, okay. He's like, well, how often do you do it? And I said, well, you know, we were spending maybe an hour a night working on them. And he was like, an hour a night? You spend an hour a night doing something other than working for me? And he was like, you can't do this. And he said, you will not graduate. You will not go to grad school if you spend this much time on something other than programming. And I was just terrified, so I just told him I didn't do it as much as I actually did. And I never mentioned it to, I just didn't mention it. I didn't mention it to anyone, but you know, I'm local, so sometimes people from this class, I would hear like, hey, in CS2, they were passing around photos of you. And I'm like, oh, that's good. That's real good, you know? But then, you know, I went to grad school, and my graduate professor was totally different. You know, someone told him, and he was like, oh, yeah, the costume stuff, that's pretty cool. We saw a picture of you from the newspaper, whatever. And I'm like, it's okay. And he's like, yeah, you always get your work done on time. And so, you know, haha, I have a master's degree now, and I'm working on my dissertation. So you can juggle it. I mean, I just, you know, a general life rule, if you tell somebody something about you, they can judge you for it. So just don't tell people things that they don't need to know.
Right. But or like presented in a, you know, in a sensible manner, because it's like, yes, for a long time people thought cosplay was sex related because of hentai, because the only anime the American public would know about would be the hentai. And, you know,
Which
then
says
they thought
something about the
cosplay
American
was
public.
some sort of a weird sex fetish type thing. But if you approach it as an art form and you tell people about it, like, this is actually very creative, and this is something that, you know, like, if you are a young cosplayer, you're trying to convince your parent that this is something you should, you know, be able to spend some money and time on, you know, definitely approach it as, look at what these people have done. Look, I'm not out there doing drugs. I'm not out there, you know, getting into trouble. I'm here. I'm being actually crafty with something. This is a really, like you said, it's a dying art, and we should encourage people to do it. So it's like whether or not like the character is a psycho or whatever, that's not important. The important thing is that you are doing something with your time that is creative and valuable. And so, like, that's how I was able to convince my parents. Like, and I have a dad who lives, like, in China, and it's very, like, what? What do you do with your life? How are you making your money? And so, you know, I don't know.
It really depends on the people you're interacting with. I am a very open person. I cannot lie to save my life. I like to share, and I work in the art field. So it is a county government art education facility. So sometimes the eyebrows go up a little bit, but once you explain what it is, and most of these people are, you know, have some at least passing experience with theater and the arts and what satisfaction that brings. So I've found that I can be open about that. Like, my boss has been calling me this week and going, hey, how's it going? So that's kind of neat. But in other professions, I understand that people have this idea of what's proper and presentable and professional. So I think until you get to know the people that are around you, it's easier to just not tell them anything. But then when you get to know people a little better and you understand who is a little laxer about propriety, you can tell them that, hey, I have a life outside this, and look what I do. And that some of them might be, okay, that's strange, and some of them might be, hey, that's cool. Can I join?
Did Purple?
I think, yeah, purple structure.
This kind of goes along with unwanted attention. As you all can see, I am not a tiny young woman. What should I do when I put on a costume and someone says, you're not the right body type for that?
Oh,
You're
honey,
too big.
we all get it. You are either too big, or you're too skinny, or you're
Too tall,
fat,
too short, too
or
whatever.
you're
Or you're too Asian.
You're too. You shouldn't cosplay that character because you're not. You're Asian. And you should.
That's it.
Too Asian, not Asian
Well,
enough.
if we want to get on ethnicity, that's a big topic.
So
but as you,
that,
go
don't worry, it's not just you. We all been there. It doesn't matter. We can work out 7 days a week and diet and not eat any carbs, and somebody will find something
Yeah,
wrong.
then you're
about
too
our-
skinny.
Yeah. At some point you'll be too skinny. I think she might be bulimic or anorexic because she is all of a sudden so skinny.
When someone comes up to you, like if you're in a costume, like I don't cosplay that much because I'm not quite comfortable with it.
Are they in a costume?
If they're in a costume, it's like, are you an idiot for insulting my costume? But like my friends, like people will come up to one that does Chibi Talia. She does the chibi one because she's not as big as I am, but she's still not a little girl, and she thinks that she can only do chibis.
Honestly, my opinion is that if you love the character, none of us actually look like our characters because they are drawn on the page. No 4'11" woman has legs like Sailor Moon. It's not physically possible. I did know someone with very long legs, but even she still wasn't quite the same proportions. If you love the character, do it. Other people's comments, be damned. And if they have the gall to say to your face that you're not the right body type, then haters gonna hate. Just look at them,
Yeah,
laugh,
do that
and
little
walk
walk
away.
and be like, haters gonna hate, and just walk away.
Yeah, just walk away. I know that doesn't hurt I know that doesn't save your feelings because it's still gonna echo in your head. You're not right.
Don't let it ruin
But don't
your
let
day.
it ruin your day.
That's the most important.
You know,
part.
we used to run a panel called Body Image, and there's actually a lot of ways you can trick your proportions for who you are and what you're trying to do. So if you wanted to come up after and get a card or something, we could talk about that another time. That hand in the back.
Okay, yes.
You have been diligent.
And then this row here.
I got a question. I'm curious. As far as, like, say you're not a character, and how important is it, when cosplaying to sort of portray the attitude, general mannerism of the character?
That's up to you. Just don't be a public menace. Be appropriate to the character if you'd like. Like, I love seeing L cosplayers in character. Like if they do a good L, it's enhanced by the performance. It's a very simple costume otherwise. But don't walk around and glom people without personal boundaries. Definitely an issue. And I personally don't get into character unless I'm on stage or doing a photo shoot. Like I'm still me in a costume, but if I'm doing photos, then I'll get in character.
Acting constantly is emotionally exhausting. I don't recommend it for long periods of time unless you're just masochistic, sadistic, and both at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, that gets back into why do people cosplay? And I remember at one point Allison and I tried to isolate it as 3 things. One would be the craftsmanship. They want to make the costumes. They enjoy making it. One is what you're saying, they want to be the character. They like acting as the character.
The woman who changed her name to Barty.
And then the third one, which is sort of they want to meet people. If you're wearing a Naruto costume and a Naruto fan comes up to you, then you can become friends. You can talk about the series, and that's a valid reason too to cosplay. So
Obviously, people are a mixture of the 3, but
Yeah.
usually one is stronger.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. We saw some other hands, but okay. Yes. You too.
One thing I was going to talk about as far as coming out as a cosplay.
Yes. Thank you. I'm free.
I'm a lawyer, and that's one of the most conservative professions. And really, when I first started out, I was kind of terrified of people finding out about it because I just thought the reaction would be horrific. And as I started letting other lawyers know, there is always that kind of raised eyebrow. But the thing I found that always makes it better, makes it fantastic, is if you can relate to that person, your passion for the hobby, and why you love it. I mean, you make love it. Just explain to them. Well, I've got a lot of my friends. I've got other attorneys interested in cosplay. So,
That's awesome.
Yes.
It's
Whole Phoenix Wright group of lawyers.
Oh yeah.
No, really.
There's no objection there.
It's all in how you relate. If you come from a position of confidence, and don't if someone calls you on it, don't act like you're ashamed or you're scared. Just be like, yeah,
No.
it's fucking awesome. And tell them why you like it. Like, yeah, my girlfriend, I met her at cosplay. Deal with it. And really,
His girlfriend's pretty cute. I mean, you could do worse.
yeah. If you're a guy, tell them there's a lot of girls there. Just like,
Yeah. Show them pictures from drag.
That's something I've been afraid of when I finally get my doctor. I don't want to, my patients or my colleagues saying, my doctor spends their spare time dressing up in costumes. How good of a doctor could they possibly be?
How can they, first of all, how are they going to find out? They'd have to meet you at a convention.
There are pictures there. I mean, there's so much internet these days. Someone's going to recognize you eventually.
But if they see
Don't
that,
have enough confidence. Just be like, oh, it's a great hobby. It's so much fun. Like my bosses think it's fantastic. A little weird, but fantastic.
if they've met you
And if
and
you're
you're their
you're the
patient,
doctor.
they know your level of confidence already. If they see your picture on the internet, they're going to be like, is that Dr. So-and-so? Cool. Okay, there were hands. We got. Oh, sorry, Mary. Mary did.
I was going to go back to the whole kind of body images in cosplay. I did a panel on it last year. I think it kind of goes back to basically what you feel comfortable with. And
Yes.
if you know, have to alter the costume for you, that's something you can do. Otherwise, if you're just really feel like you need to stick to characters that suit you to have fun and to feel confident that that's your thing too. Like my dad is 50 and bald and cosplays with me. He's kind of limited on his character sometimes, but it means that when we find someone that he can really pull off, he can really pull it off. Like we do Battlestar Galactica costumes together, and he makes an amazing Colonel Ty.
Yes, he does.
It means, maybe he can't cosplay, like anime boys with me, but I hope, but it's like we find the things that suit him, and he really enjoys the view that we do. So it's just kind of like either it's like personally with me, it's like I'm 29 now, so I'm getting out of cosplaying those anime characters because they're really young. And
Yeah.
my friends might tell me, hey, you still look good enough to do that, but I just don't feel confident and comfortable enough, and I'd rather cosplay more older, more mature characters.
I have a whole list of characters that I will do when I am old and gray.
Me too.
I also
Me
have a list
too.
of characters that I will do if I am ever at a convention knocked up.
Thank you, Allison.
Just saying, pace plan ahead.
You should have mentioned that during our budgeting your time.
What happens if you plan this costume and you're knocked up anyway?
Okay, go
All
ahead.
right, so actually, Cliff, I have a question for you. Do you get the other attorneys together and y'all talk about maybe doing a Phoenix Wright sometime?
He's already done it. He's done it.
He's in Phoenix, right?
But to get the others.
Yeah, did you get the others involved?
That's the thing that helps is that when I relate this to I tell them how I've done speeches at DragCon on legal issues, how I'll come to a panel and talk about how law plays into something. Really, there's almost no career you can't relate to this on,
Right.
and you can't share. I mean, like say you're into web design, if you help a cosplayer with a website and you just rock that website, that needs to be in your portfolio. That needs to get you new clients. I mean, if you're a doctor, you can come give panels on health issues, on like, here's how you can, stay hydrated when you cosplay. Here's the things.
Cosplay emergencies.
Yeah, cosplay emergencies. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Foot
that
care.
You can really. Foot care is serious. But I mean, you can relate this hobby and make people see it in the light that you see it. And that's really the truth.
That's awesome. Yay.
I got a question for Cliff.
This is now legal issues according to Cliff.
Yeah, way to hijack. No,
We love you.
What would happen to somebody in the courtroom if, say, when an attorney says an objection, and someone just quickly gets up and
If it's a full judge, you should do a slow clap.
Okay, I think it's clear that next year you guys should propose to do real life Phoenix Wright panel.
That would be awesome.
Let's do that. Someone's actually done that before.
Oh. Well, then it needs to migrate here.
I'll be Emma. I'll be Emma.
Well, we can do Princess stuff.
Right.
Wait, you had your hand up a while ago.
Oh, I was gonna comment on the confidence thing. Is like, don't care what other people say. I mean, there's several. I think there's like two, or maybe it's the same person. It's a Thai kickboxer, and he is an insane cosplayer. He cosplays in the ring.
Awesome.
And like I said, he's a Thai kickboxer, and he fights overseas. And I think for one fight, he actually got some of his cosplay buddies, or cosplay girls, because he's a guy.
Yeah.
And he cosplays in female characters.
Oh, okay. Crossplay.
So
Excellent.
he gets this whole parade walking down to the ring with him of cosplay girls. And he's also in a cosplay female costume as well.
Yes.
And his dance.
Yeah.
He did Ronka's dance.
Oh, yes.
So when he's actually in the fight, he does take the costume off, but he's still confident enough to say, "Hey, I'm a cosplayer."
That's just practicality.
Yeah.
What kind of confidence blow is that to the guy who loses to him? Like,
It's a major.
If that guy has confidence blow losing to him because of that, then that person needs their head fixed anyway.
Exactly, and like even promo pictures of fights that he's in, you see all these guys with their chests, all bulky and stuff. But when you come to his picture, he's in a costume. All his promo pictures are like that.
Rock yourself. You are your own biggest salesperson.
I mean, we are all putting ourselves out there. Truly, it's like it's an art form where you have a community of lots of young people. So already they're not, that mature, and then you are putting your craftsmanship out there, and you're putting yourself out there, your own face, your body, and so it's there's so many ways that you can get judged, and it is just about, I think cosplay has given lots of us a lot of confidence. I think a lot of us started off not being able, I definitely wasn't very good at public speaking and certain other things, or like definitely my body image has improved. I've gotten into working out more because of cosplay, so it's like I think it has a lot of benefits socially, as well as in my case career wise or whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to add to something you said, that it's a wearable art. A lot of times in panels or in general, people will say, well, cosplay has so much drama, but AMVs, we don't have drama or whatever. Honestly, I feel like in every community I've ever been in, there's always some drama, but
stamp collectors have drama.
Stamp collectors. We like to fantasize about what the stamp collectors have.
Nothing. I can
You
say
got
this.
that one stamp. That was the last one of my collection. What?
She thinks that stamp's worth something, but
I honestly can tell you this, especially where I was stuck until almost 10 o'clock last night. Nothing in the cosplay community compares to the amateur fine art community. All I have to say is a bunch of little old ladies ego bickering with smiles on their faces like they're your best friend.
But what I wanted to say about the wearable art is I think part of the reason why people are hurt more and feel more sensitive is because unlike drawing fan art or making an AMV or writing a fanfic or anything else, you're wearing it and your face and your body is part of the whole package. And unfortunately, you as the girl in the purple was saying, she was worried about her body, but honestly, everyone will be criticized.
In fashion,
your face.
They'll be criticizing how much makeup you wear, how you've worn your wig, if it's parted the right way, how you posed in this outfit, if you leaned over too much and some weird bulge is showing because of a corset, or everything.
In fashion, the designers design their clothes, their art, their wearable art, but they get to pick the hanger that it's on. That's really what they consider
the
models.
model, yeah.
They consider them a hanger. In this world, you are the hanger. So not only is your art being judged, but you physically in that costume are being judged. So it's kind of not even a double whammy, it's a triple whammy. The costume, you, and you in the costume.
I remember an epiphany where you know, I was really sad about people being mean, and I was like crying and saying, I'll just hire pretty girls to wear my costumes because I can't do it. And then suddenly something snapped, and I thought, no, they want to look at my art, they have to look at me.
And you know what? I think, you know, personally, I'm real into, you know, rights and socialism and fun things, and societal pressures. I think that it's a good thing to put yourself out there if you're not perfect, because as technology advances in Photoshop and lighting and makeup and, you know, computer-generated imagery, the idea of perfect is getting more and more physically impossible, and that's what's being implanted in our heads. When you look around you, and there's so much variety to humanity, and that's a good and beautiful thing, and I think it's important that people not forget that. So, you know, you're fighting the revolution every time you cosplay.
Oh, that's a lovely statement, Allison.
One thing I've also noticed in many critiquing communities is the more perfect it is, the more trolls are going to dig in to find something wrong.
Because they're jealous. Yeah, that's just jealousy. That's...
Graham, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just had something to add about, you know, putting yourself out there, and like, I think, like, philosophically speaking, I don't think anyone is born confident. Like, confidence is something you have to learn how to do, and the best way to learn is just by risking it and faking it. Like, you can totally fake being confident. And
Very
it works.
small children are confident, but adults squash that every time they enforce a rule.
Yeah.
So you have to relearn that childlike.
Yeah, but the best way to do it is just to wing it, and you know, like, I mean, because, you know, I started out just like wearing like really drapey like white mage costumes and stuff, but like, you know, like I've also cosplayed in like a Speedo.
Yes,
seen that.
It was so fun.
Amanda, will you let me wear that again?
Where's her woman?
She is outside.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Will you wear it again?
She wants me to.
Wait,
actually.
are we going to the pool tomorrow?
Well,
okay, yeah. My quick comment was, especially with putting yourself out there because you're normal. Scott Westerfield has a really good series of books, Kind of Space for young adults. Ugly Trees.
Oh, I've read those. Yes. They're really cool.
Those are fantastic. Everyone should read them.
It's, I think, at 14, the plotline is you have surgery to make yourself into somebody beautiful, and was like 3 or 4 of the kids say, I don't want this, and they run away, and then follows them as their government chases them down.
that's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, I mean, I think I would love to spend some time talking about what are the proper conducts, because there's so much judgment out there, and obviously all of us, you know, we don't want to judge people, but we sometimes inadvertently, in private, do judge people. We're like, ooh, you know, that didn't really come out right. But, you know, I want to talk about what are the proper conducts at a convention, you know, if you interact with cosplayers, and then what are the proper conducts on the internet. And, you know, if you have any...
Yeah,
if you have
and
any
both ways too. Cosplayers
Let's start it
can
off
be
with
rude,
what
and
really
congoers can be
pisses
rude.
you off.
I think that one of the first rules should be friends don't post friends on 4chan.
Damn
Great
straight.
rule. Great rule.
And friends will also warn you if someone else has posted you on 4chan.
Actually, I don't want to know. Don't warn me.
Oh yeah, true.
Honestly, yeah, I actually had to ask people for years, don't tell me if you saw me on there, because literally I was so much happier either way, just not knowing. And it's like, it is a little bit of an addiction. I was there like checking the forums every day. If my picture was on there, I would like have a heart attack. I'd have to check every 5 minutes to see, did anyone say anything? Do they think I'm fat? Do they think this? Blah, blah, blah. And it's sickening. It's like time I didn't need to spend, you know, so.
It's I think along with that, it's like if there's a thread and there's one of your friends about that, just ignore it, because that'll just make it fall off of the page quicker.
Yes.
They don't need to know, no one needs to know, just ignore it.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
and I do understand some people find a lot of enjoyment there, and I'm not trying to take it away from you, but sometimes it does become really personal. I've had a friend who the internet detectived her and put her real address on 4chan, and that's when it starts to get bad. That's not right, and you know.
Woman, you don't get to sit in the back.
What?
Oh,
Snuck in.
Amanda.
Snuck in.
She did snuck in. Wait, two Amandas snuck in. Double Amanda action.
They're like, where's your bag? We have to see it. And then I like go to their show and they're like over there. I'm like, okay, it's here. And I go,
I do think.
It's okay if you don't want to talk much.
This is Amanda, our third member.
I'm the honorary.
Hell yeah.
But I definitely think the general conduct on the internet is if you don't have something nice to say, just don't say it. Like just don't resist that keyboard.
And even if
wanting
you
to
have,
type it in, just really don't.
If you
don't
have
worry.
criticism, like constructive criticism to give, there are nice ways to say
There are nice
it.
ways to say it. Yes.
There's also private messages.
Yes,
Exactly.
please. You don't have to post it for everyone to read.
I think people get a thrill out of posting something in public. I think just answering someone's question or making a statement to many people is not nearly as thrilling if it was in private to only one person. They want it to be out in the public, and that is also a weird form of people wanting to belong, people wanting to be recognized, attention, you know.
Yeah, and of course things changed when CGL opened because the whole anonymous culture started, and it was really exciting to be anonymous and be like, oh, I could say this about my best friend and they'll never know, haha. But you know, before that, I remember there were websites like Cats on Mars. I don't know if anyone knows that website, but I lost a lot of respect for cosplayers that were, you know, at that time we were novices, so these people were like professionals to us. And they pose with their cosplay name, and they're making all these horrible comments about girls that are making their very first costume, or, you know, clearly this is this person's first costume, and they're just criticizing, oh, why would they use this fabric with this brocade? And it's just very petty things, and I would think, you know, like, this is someone I used to look up to because I admired their outfits so much, and the fact they would just spend hours taking these like 15-year-old girls down a notch publicly. I just, you know, I found it offensive. So there are, I don't know why people do that, but it's kind of immature. So
I mean, just I think that's definitely you working on yourself. You know, we all probably have to continuously work on yourself. And if you really need to vent about something, do it in private with trusted friends. I mean, there you go, outlet to vent.
Tell your mom.
Oh my God.
That's nice, dear. And I always think it's so interesting that these people would come and really rip you a new one on the internet, but then when you see them at a con, they can't even make eye contact with you. I mean, I just think, you know, if you have something to say, like, have the balls to say it to my face, honestly.
Seriously.
Yeah.
With anything. So, but that's why I'm never really worried about confrontations at conventions, because, you know, nobody has ever come up to me and said to me what they said on the internet, and on the internet you can just ignore it. So it's like, really, with little effort, you could totally remove yourself from all the negativity.
Pink butterfly wing head.
I don't know, I'm
Had
not
a
too
hand
naive
up
in
a
this.
while
Anybody
ago.
have anything to share in this regard?
Not specifically about that. Well, let's backtrack a little bit. But just out of curiosity, I have been cosplaying. I haven't been as avidly cosplaying, I guess. Like Yaya, you made so many costumes, but like I do like one a year for my home convention, which is amazing. So, but recently I've wanted to do it even more, and that brings me to the time management thing. But apparently you had a whole panel about the age thing also is like a concern. Like I want to do it more, but not a full-time job, 50 hours a week, and then I'm, you know, I'm 25 years old.
Oh my God, you're so young.
Oh,
so you're
honey.
worried about that.
Oh, honey. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is a good thing and a bad thing for most of us. You get into it. You grow in your skill and your passion and
Grow the skin, the thick skin.
and you get your thick skin, and you've developed the ability to deal with people. And then a new group come in, and a new group comes in, and a new group comes in, and it's like you have to learn the same lesson over and over again. But you know what? It's okay, because it will continue forever. Which is discouraging and good.
Well, I guess my question was, I know you'll be cosplaying because when you said when you're older you already have a list. But as far as like for Yaya, for instance, you didn't speak is there a point when you retire from this, or do you?
I might. I don't know. Honestly, I try not
When
to.
there's no more
put a
love.
time limit. I'll do it as long as it's fun, as long as I can pull off the characters, because that's always been my main reason for cosplaying is I want to pull off this character. I would like to either in my photos, as well as in real life, like both actually, to be able to look at like that character. So as long as I'm able to do that, then I'll do it. But if at some point I look at my photos or look at myself in the mirror and say, I really did not, I really need to, rethink how I'm doing this, then I will retire. I'll still make costumes probably, and just put them on other people. But I understand this is not a forever thing. Nothing lasts forever.
The love is still there.
Yeah, so
Favorite grandpa.
I threw in a suggestion for that. I think what a lot of us have been finding is once we hit around 25 is we start leaving the anime fandom and getting more into steampunk, not steampunk so much for me personally.
Things that have adult themes like sci-fi.
Sci-fi or fantasy or comic books.
Oh god, you're recruiting her.
Do it.
You're definitely
You just kind of tilt to more Western things.
Yeah. Comic books, yeah.
I still have a list of dream costumes from when I was like 16 though.
Those are the ones you pull out as a gem when you're older and you have all this money and you can just, oh yeah.
I can finally be Sailor.
though, like that does come down to budgeting in a way, because if you're only going to make one a year, you know how long maybe till you might feel uncomfortable, then you do have to really choose the projects that are the most important to you. And sometimes you'll be with your cosplay friends and they'll be like, let's make this big group. You'll be this person. And you're like, I don't even know.
No.
We know.
We're in a Sailor Moon group, and we have all 9 scouts, which is nigh on impossible. Don't do it. Just
Everyone
say no.
else is in high school, and we have all sorts of problems with everyone else.
Anytime you organize a group, there are issues, especially with
we actually talked about that at our budgeting panel too, because we run the Oron Host Club here that was happened today, and we also have a really large Persona 3 group. So it is possible, but you definitely have to think about how well you get along with the other members. Will they be reliable? Will they cause drama for you?
Will they get their costume done?
Will they get the costume done, of course.
Or, you can be we decided recently we're going to be crazy and do wing costumes. We're going to force our friend Alina to do it. And then she's like, okay, I'll do it, but now you have to do this thing for me. It's okay.
Bartering is a wonderful thing.
Cosplay.
There will be costumes that you have that are on your list that will drop off.
But the difference is that our Gundam wing costumes are jokes.
That is highly entertaining. When
So if we don't get it done, it won't break my heart. Did someone in the back have a hand up? Or? Oh, yeah, here you go.
Yes.
Well, Yaya just mentioned something interesting, that you have to be able to portray the character in order to do the cosplay. Well, I think we're
You don't have to. It's my goal. That's only my personal goal.
I think we're one of the first generation of getting old playing these cosplays. Japan is maybe 10 years or 20 years ahead of us here in the States, but there are certain generation of the elder cosplayers in Japan, and they are doing, let's say, Sailor Moon, for instance. There's 60, 70-year-old ladies.
That's awesome.
And
I think that's cool.
That's their love of a Sailor Moon.
It's all what you're comfortable with.
That's great.
I want to be that cool when I'm 70.
I think that's fantastic.
But even among the Japanese cosplayers, there is a certain social pressure to them. Okay, grannies, we understand you enjoy it, but think about it. You're cosplaying Sailor Moon. Please don't do it.
Part of that, I'm sure, is part of Japan's culture, but that's going to happen here in America too, because America is the land of the youth worshipers. we think 25 means you're dead. I mean, come on. No, we are going to be the first generation really that grows up doing this, and we're just going to have to push back. No, I am old and awesome, and you have to look at me.
Well, isn't there?
I think that what's the great part of the cosplay compared to the fashion in general only is that you can portray the that particular your love toward that work of the animation, and that makes a lot of difference. But when even within that costume society, within your own society of the costume playing, when they have that kind of pressure, how are you gonna go against it?
When there are divisions. We're the real cosplayers.
Elitism.
Well, it took a really long time for that word to come up.
That's actually the latest it's ever come up in one of these.
When the younger costume players want to kind of like pretty much push you out of the society, say, okay, you guys have already done your stuff for 40 years, graduate.
Have you seen the movie Fried Green Tomatoes?
Yeah.
Do you know the scene where the younger women push her out of the parking space and pull into it? And, we're younger and more fabulous, or whatever they say. And so she crashes into their car like 4 times. And they said, honey, I'm older and have more insurance. That'll be us. And be like, honey, we've got skills you haven't even heard of yet.
I think it's great when I see older people doing cosplay, especially here. Like I said, this is my first convention. I saw an older gentleman, I'm sure a lot of you saw him dressed as Ponyo's dad, and that was the best damn costume in this convention so far that I've seen. It was absolutely fabulous. He had the nose right. Awesome. I was like in love with his hair. I was following around with my camera.
It's a societal sharing. We are sharing our love for this particular thing that we've all seen, and that can bring everybody together, no matter how old you are, how young you are, where you're from. It's wonderful.
But it's like, to be realistic, it won't be kumbaya, you know? We won't just all sit together.
People are
and
never
just,
kumbaya.
So it's like, yes, elitism exists. You know, maybe I'm the realist in this group. Maybe I've done it for so long. I'm not bitter, but I'm definitely a realist. Like I've paid my dues, so to speak. So yes, there is elitism.
I'm a realist. I just
there are people that are cliquey. There are people in every facet of cosplay. The steampunk community, for example, the real steampunk elitists who are like, oh, just putting goggles on is not good enough for steampunk. You have to be this and that.
It has to work.
Or the Lolita, you know,
it has to actually function.
Or you know, like I mean, stuff, it exists, yes. It's just about who do you want to associate with? Who do you want to surround yourself with? Do you want to be with elitists, or do you want to be with a group of friends that you can cosplay with and then go to the bar and get drunk with? You know? There you go.
Incidentally, should we evade them after this panel?
It's like those are the people that I have become friends with over the years of cosplaying. You know, I want to be able to hang with someone who like really, you know, can take it serious to an extent where they do great work that I admire, that I respect, but then they can turn around and, you know, totally get smashed with me at a party.
There's weird stuff. I mean, like, there's girls that come into this thinking they're going to be celebrities. They're like,
I get emails. How do I become a famous cosplayer? Every day.
There's also, like, it works both ways. There's the people that, the elitists, like, as in they think they are the elite, they're really, you know, well, you can't talk to me. One thing that bothers me is, like, if a attendee comes and asks for your picture, they'll be rude to them. But if it's a famous photographer, then they will let him take their picture. And I find that to be offensive because it's the people that come up and have the nice thing to say to you and are just a regular person at the convention that really make you smile, like the person that loves the character and appreciated it. And then there's the other side, the people that you may not think that you are elite, but somebody out there thinks you are, and they want to be your friend because you're famous. And we've had that happen before, and it was always surprising because it's like you don't want to think like that. You don't want to think that somebody else would like want to be your groupie or want people, you know, like somebody, would be telling other people that we're best friends or they really know me well, and it's like
name dropping.
Yeah. Oh, I know all of them. We're best friends. I've stayed at her house. Blah blah blah. And it's like you never think that type of thing would come up when you start cosplaying, but it does. It has come up. So
I never thought I'd have to leave names out of like if I'm in a certain group of people just telling a story, just a funny thing that happened at a con. I'll leave names out because I don't want to seem like I'm name dropping.
I'm Jamie's super secret Asian friend.
Super secret.
I am the super secret Asian friend in my friend stories. It's very
You
funny.
have to start picking code names because
Yo-yo.
Sociology of Cosplay, let's make fun of Yaya.
I love you.
I love you too.
Backtracking a little bit, with the age thing, if you actually really like anime, you might not get to be a main character. There's a lot of people of different ages in every friggin' anime. There's always the teacher, there's always the mom, there's always the dad, there's always that weird
Mama-san.
there's always the crazy grandmother.
Yes!
Yes.
Or the great Avatar, there's so many cool older people in Avatar.
Yes!
Yeah, there's that like freaky as hell looking really fun.
Average age of characters like cosplay is about.
Well, how old is the curl?
He's gay.
Graham cosplays as the KFC Colonel, Colonel Sanders.
Oh, wow.
So basically, don't go into cosplay thinking you're gonna get famous. You won't.
It's kind of like YouTube. Like this whole world is changing, and no one can predict really what makes you famous, whatever, and what your 15 minutes of fame will be. Sometimes it's luck. Sometimes it's completely random. You can't control it, so don't stress yourself out.
That should not be your reason. Don't cosplay for attention. Don't cosplay for fame. Those are my two biggest advice, I guess.
It's like getting into
Other
acting,
cosplayers.
thinking you're going to be the A-list celebrity. I've never met someone who got into acting because of that,
Right.
because there's no love there.
Right. The best actors are the ones that literally live and breathe the characters. Like Matt Damon or Hilary Swank. They don't do it for the money. They love it so much, and they're just so passionate about it. So.
Anybody else? Oh.
You want to answer?
Yeah.
All right, so with fandom of anime broadening like it is, obviously we get a lot more people coming into conventions who are not cosplaying, and so the ratio diminishes. I saw a post on the Hobble forums, I think, somebody was discussing it, and they're saying, oh, well, the cosplay's getting worse, but honestly, I think every year it gets better and better. It's just that there's more of it.
Yes.
Right. But there are definitely the attendees who look down on cosplay at conventions, and I have a pride as a cosplayer. I try to advocate wherever I go, for the community. I try to speak up for it and try to promote it as an art form. But there's definitely lots of misunderstandings, I think. And, a lot of.
Everyone wants to feel like their way of doing things is best.
Or are you wearing Doctor Who? This is an anime.
Oh gosh! Everybody heard what she said, right?
Yes.
But she said, "Oh God, you're wearing Doctor Who. This is an anime convention."
I'm not a cosplayer, but
That is actually a weird thing that's happening, is that people are concerned about anime conventions dying because they're pulling in other types of media. That's been going on. People have been discussing that all year on all the big anime websites. And so they tend to get very upset if you were cosplaying from something else, but you were at an anime convention. So,
make a lot of people mad.
I'm sorry, I like Doctor Who and I love eating them East. I like them equally the same.
Exactly.
I love them equally.
This is the one time of year you get to dress up. Where would you want to?
That's the thing, is that if you're at an anime con, you like anime, but I also like these other things, and I want to cosplay from Scott Pilgrim, so where else I'll be honest.
Where else am I gonna confused when I saw Jack's Pirates of the Caribbean? I was like, only because it's my first convention. I was like, wait, was there a Pirates of the Caribbean?
I see a Jack at every anime convention.
Jack transcends all boundaries.
Yeah, it might just be really Jack is here. I mean, like, he's not cosplaying.
Jack from the Caribbean. I was gonna say, I think, yeah, the line is just contests, because some contests have specific rules of this contest is only for things of this nature.
Japanese
And that's okay. It's great fun.
It's like, you know, you're not in whatever that contest is for. Don't try and enter and waste your time and the judge's time and the audience's time.
We had a Doctor Who at Anime Alabama.
And we were just like,
okay.
But see, part of that is like, that because you can cosplay here and it's accepted. So like that may be your own, for some people that may be their only time of the year they can, and they want to make this outfit and they don't have or nowhere else to do it. Obviously here in Atlanta you could wear the non-anime stuff at Dragon Con, and you could wear anime and video game costumes here, so you have more choice. But in Anime Alabama, I'm not sure.
Okay, wait.
How many other?
Is anyone here from Alabama? I'm asking this honestly. Are there any other conventions in Alabama? Good, okay. As long as it's available. Okay, good. Because I'm just saying, if that's the only con that's available, what else do you do?
Okay, hands.
There was a hand. Oh,
I'm sorry, but stormtroopers and Master Chief are always welcome.
Especially stormtroopers in kilts.
I also like joke stormtroopers, the ones that have like done funny things, like Vacation Trooper with the straw hat and the Hawaiian shirt and the Bud Light and his the Hello Kitty Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
But it is true that those things will be more accepted at an everything con than they would be here. And you know, sometimes you have to, because you're only going to so many a year, you have to kind of plan like, well, where would be the best place to do this? For example, like if we go to Anime Boston sometimes, it's a very good convention. They are very big Princess Tutu fans there because there's a music video up there, and you'll see a lot of Princess Tutu cosplay there, and everyone knows who you are because they know that really well there. So it's something you can think about when you're planning where you're going to wear your outfit.
Yeah.
That's why I love Dragon Con so much, because I can wear anything that I want from whatever genre, and I feel like I fit in.
Yeah, and dragons especially. I know it seems like we're like, woohoo, Dragon Con! But we love anime too, don't worry. But Dragon Con is, because it is an everything convention, it's not so much about, hey, I recognize your costume, therefore I will talk to you about it. It's more, that's really cool. I have no idea what you are, but that is awesome. And so there's more love. Love is good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, we have less than 10 minutes. How do we want to close this out?
We have 10 minutes.
Well, unless they don't kick us out.
Unless they don't. Let's see how long we can. Actually, let's do
year-
a contest. How long can we stay in here?
Well, technically it's a 2-hour event, but they usually kick us out at midnight, just so everyone knows. So if there's something that's burning in your soul, raise your hand now.
Raise your hand and speak up.
Yeah, I actually do. It's kind of on the subject of the too much love. At last convention we went to, we dressed as more in love, and we didn't get too many creepers, but I mean, there was so much to the costume, and one guy was like, I want to take a picture, and he was in the dealer's room, and we had to wait like 10 minutes for him to take our picture, and so finally he was like, okay, take a picture like this, okay, now can you pose like this, okay, how can I pick you up? And I was like,
No.
I was like, yeah, she was like, I was like,
No. Don't let strange men pick you up.
I just wanted to like,
I was so glad she was there because I just had that, I guess.
No, yeah, I was like, no, I'm uncomfortable.
When we're in costume, I think attendees who are out of costume expect us to entertain them sometimes. And that's totally fine. But sometimes it does get too far. Like, can I pick you up? Can you turn around so I can get the back shot?
Remember that you are not public property. They may think that they own you somehow because you're in costume.
I just don't want to make anybody angry for telling them no. Like I tell them
No, you have to. You have
Tell
to.
them
You
no.
have to be. You're free to tell them no. Absolutely.
Yeah. Just, you can always pass it off on your costume. I'm sorry, I'm afraid my wings will break, or just
because sometimes they do break, because people have just grabbed a person and broken part of the costume and not even asked if they could hug you
Can
and
I tell a
touch you.
story?
Or when they pull your
Well, that's pretty much the same.
Yeah, pull the wig down by like really pulling it hard.
You're like,
And this is actually really...
Except gloves. You're like, no fucking gloves.
And it is dangerous because you've got girls that are like 12 to 15 starting to cosplay and they don't really
say no before. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm late to an event, or I'm so sorry, I have an emergency to get to. You know, sometimes people give me really sour looks like, oh my God, I cannot, you know, I missed her in costume, so now my whole weekend is ruined or something. And, you know, just, you have to understand we're still people. Yes,
Not public
we
property.
are
Yeah.
entertaining the public, so to speak, for fun, out of our own pockets. But we're also, you know, we need rest. We don't always have handlers like actors or, you know,
We're not
musicians
really
do.
celebrities. I mean, like, we're not making millions. You know, we don't usually have an entourage, so a lot of the stuff is...
So just definitely be respectful.
That's like the whole thing, just talking about the whole like running glove thing that people try to do. I remember like AWA 04, I think I was in Queen Barrel, and that costume quite literally has metal spikes. I mean, they're kind of covered, but basically metal spikes coming out of my midsection. And I had several people try to freaking like be like, I'm just gonna hug you. I'm like, no, I will physically injure you with my costume. And you try to hug me.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things, it's like really like, you know, I feel like people in general need to like know
Stupidity
that you
continuously
can't
amazes me.
do that. Like you can't try to just go up to somebody in a costume and give them a giant tackle hug. It's not okay. And like
I think what the problem is with this hobby is it kind of allows the people who are socially inept to continue to be socially inept in a situation that it does not allow you to be socially inept. So we shouldn't have to have these conversations. We shouldn't have to tell someone, no, it's not appropriate to take a picture of me from behind. No, it's not appropriate to hug strangers. We shouldn't have to have these conversations. But we're in a hobby, we're in a, I hate to say it, a culture that people just don't have common sense. And it's funny, but it's also really scary. I mean, I know everyone staying at the hotel where this convention's at this year had to sign a waiver for no outside drinks, no alcohol, no nothing, because people have made dumb mistakes in the past because they don't have any common sense. If you're going to drink to the point where you're going to drop a knife off the balcony into a crowd of people, maybe that's a bad idea. You know, it just, stupid things happen, and sometimes I wonder if we fuel it, you know, and it's good to have these honest conversations, and maybe someone will wake up and actually be smarter because of it.
Yeah.
We can only hope.
Amanda is first. Sorry, you should.
Oh, yeah, no, a lot of this I really think is helped by a lot, like, they don't even have to be in cosplay, but maybe if you've got a cosplay partner or a friend, maybe a handler, have a friend to look out for you. Like, if you've got somebody that's coming up and you're maybe insecure, it's a lot more helpful if you're not telling them, I can't be with you, as the other friend's like, sees the signals like, oh, we have to go. And then you don't hurt their feelings, and then it's not awkward. It's one of those things like, it's just good to have somebody to have your back, and to know that, like, okay, I'm wearing Morgan, and I'm really worried about my butt, so, you know, like, if anybody's being worried about my butt, give me a signal, and then we can leave. So it's one of those things, like, you know,
She's going like this.
Like, oh no, we have to go.
Ladies, we must go. Or a friend that says, you know, people keep coming behind you with a camera. Maybe we should go stand over there where there's a wall.
Yeah. You know, this is, if you're a congoer too, I've read online the sob story of the guy that just wanted a photo, and the cosplayer kind of looked at him kind of wary, and she must be a bitch because all he wanted was a photo. But maybe if you're that person, that you're just a regular con attendee, like hearing some of this stuff will suddenly, you'll realize that some of the other people are really strange, and the cosplayers start to get a little, like, they don't mean to be standoffish, they don't mean to be unfriendly, but after you've dealt with people that have made you feel uncomfortable, that you start to, you know, kind of like put up a little bit of defenses sometimes, and that doesn't mean they don't want to talk to you. It just means they've been in bad situations. So,
or they're just really tired, or their head
or they're
makes their head
tired,
hurt, and they have a migraine, or their feet hurt. You know.
Well, I have a story about glomping. We were at Anime back in May, and it's a convention center, and there are several floors. The top floor is kind of open, and you can look over all the other floors. And some of the artist alley tables are set up against that wall. And there is a mascot type character in front of the tables, and the artist was gone somewhere, lunch, whatever. And this person comes running out of nowhere and tackles the mascot, knocks the mascot into the display grate, and that goes over the edge down several floors.
Oh my god.
And the mascot was just like, you know, it stayed in character. It was kind of funny, you know, it was like, oh my gosh, and then she kind of, you know, didn't know what to do, but I mean, felt so sorry for the artist because all that work. Just,
that's an example of people not being aware of their surroundings when they take their flying leap.
Goodness gracious, that's horrible.
I had a girl like hug me on the way after this panel. She's like, "Oh my god, I love your promote. Can I hug you?" I was like, "What?" And before she she asked the question in the motion. No, and she had this like great. I don't know who she was dressed as. She had this great face paint all over, and her head. And then she picks her head up, and her face is smeared. I'm like, and then she's like, no, it's okay, and starts petting me. I'm like, no, you gotta stop. Just stop. And it freaked me out.
That's common. That happens. It's weird. Yeah.
So many heads. Go for it, Eric.
That's something almost similar. Almost happened to me. I had a costume where I was wearing latex body paint over my whole body, and people were like, "I want to give you a hug." It's like, good God, no!
You will be printed. You need like a wet paint sign for that costume.
Okay, lace gloves.
I guess but no, that story reminds me so much. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, I decided to dress him up as a very Bishonen character one time, and he complained the entire time, but girls went nuts, and then he was like the star, and he was like, yeah, look at me. You know, I made this costume, we put all this work into it. It turned out for the worst. Well, I come, and he's got red lipstick all over here. Apparently, girls went left and right, were like, can I please just have a hug? And they were practically like, oh. So this girl apparently just said she wanted a hug and reached up and gave him a hickey on his neck. Don't lie, I was dying, and his friend was like, dude, we gotta hide. The nerve of people, and I wish I was there.
They think you're public property.
No, really. I mean,
that's
amazing. And before he can even say no, she's, you know, all over.
Just because we're dressed up does not make us public property for you to do whatever the fuck you want with, like, honestly.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a solution for it except, you know, just kind of protect yourself if you're a cosplayer.
I think it'd be nice if we were allowed to
Cliff, does Cliff have a solution?
Cliff wins.
What? Why?
One time, a chick at Dragon Con came up and without his permission kissed him and left food in his mouth.
Was it at least tasty?
I can't wait for the real life Phoenix Wright panel. Objection.
Okay, yes. We're over?
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Sorry.
Alright, it's cool. You just tell us when to kick out.
Can we just ask a question? So this panel was an hour and a half long. Do you guys feel like it should be 2 hours?
Yeah,
Okay, because it was 2 hours the first time. Last year it was an hour, and definitely I felt like it was rushed. And so if it has to be a 2 hour event, I'm pretty sure we're okay with that.
Yeah, we can.
So if all of you think, yeah, that would be great, then we will push for that for next year. Do you want to just say closing comments?
Yeah, thank you all for coming, and please, if you enjoyed the panel, let them know you want to see it back next year, and tell your friends, bring more friends, bring some stories, you know, share your stories.
Thanks for being such a great
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank
You were
very
great.
much.